What's up, guys? You know, I was working today and doing a little bit of tile on a shower, and as I was waiting, after I mixed up my mud, I'm waiting for my mud to flash so I can mix it again. And I'm hanging out by my truck, and next door, a guy comes outside and he sits down on his bench out on his front porch, and I can overhear him talking to his somebody on the phone. And they were going on about this and that, finances, and now blah, blah, blah. And the guy was sitting there trying to tell the other guy on the phone that you know, the reason we're in the financial crisis that we're in is because of the market crash in '08, the housing market. And the guy on the phone was like, "What? Are you kidding me? You actually think that we're in the situation that we're in because of what happened in '08? Are you kidding me?" They were going on and on about that. And I thought it was interesting because for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I've taken it upon myself to start researching and learning about money and finance concerning the law, what the law says about money and finance. And so I've been on CornellLaw.com, or actually it's .edu. Cornell Law, they're an official source for legal information. So I've been on Cornell Law for several months researching money and finance, and that's a byproduct of the legal stuff that I was researching concerning a legal case against me that I'm working on, that I'm working on. That for another video for another time. Anyways, so been researching money and finance, and the things that I've been learning have been very interesting, to say the least, because come to find out, in 1933, the government went bankrupt. The government went bankrupt and has been bankrupt ever since. They declared a national emergency. The president declared a national emergency in 1933. This is towards the end of the Great Depression. Y'all remember the Great Depression? Of course you don't, because you weren't there. We have grown up in a society where we don't know anything other than what we know. 1933 predates our knowledge, the knowledge of our existence. So to find out about this is like, oh my gosh, you know. So the government's bankrupt. The government declares bankruptcy and initiates a new system. And it's very interesting because that's never been repealed. No president after that has declared an end to the state of emergency. Just like with COVID, they declared a state of emergency back in 1933, but this was an economic emergency. Oh no, we're bankrupt. What are we going to do? So So that's when we have the March 9th, 1933 Act, the Act of Congress after the president declared the state of emergency. And basically what they did was they redefined what gold was. They redefined money. Because up until that point, money was either gold or silver or United States notes, paper money that was backed by gold and silver. You could take that U.S. note to the bank and redeem it in lawful money, gold or silver. Well, you can't do that anymore. You can't take your money to the bank and exchange it or redeem it for gold or silver. You can't do that because it's not backed by gold or silver anymore. They redefined what gold was. They redefined it. And the way they redefined it is they said that the new money shall represent a mortgage on all the homes and all the property of all the people in the United States. Not just of the United States, not just of the citizens, but in the United States. Anybody in the United States who has property, the government has claimed ownership of it. Okay? So, the new money would represent a mortgage on all the property. And it would take the form of a note, draft, bill of exchange, or banker's acceptance, or trade acceptance. You know, anytime you go to get a loan on a house, there's two documents that you sign. You sign the mortgage and you sign the note or the promissory note. And that's the notes that it's referring to, the note. So the new money shall represent a mortgage on all the homes and all the property of all the people in the United States. So your promissory note that you signed for your mortgage or your car loan is the new gold. It's paper money, just like your Federal Reserve notes. So, because if you look at that promissory note, it has a value on it. It has a value on it. Let's say you take a $100,000 loan out on a car. That note has that value printed on it. And that's what gives the government its credit. It is the credit of the nation. They went from a gold-backed system to a credit-backed system. All the property in the United States, the government is claiming ownership of, and that's what gives them their credit or their value. That's how they determine their value. Okay? Because before there were Federal Reserve notes, before 1933, United States notes, U.S. notes, were subject to only 300 million. There could only be 300 million notes printed in U.S. notes. It was limited to prevent inflation. Problem. So many big businesses sprouted up in the early 1900s that by the 1930s, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, so many big businesses had sprung up and had tens of millions of dollars that they were holding on to and not letting go of, that suddenly there was a shortage. 300 million out of all these different companies that were hoarding. And because of the hoarding, they declared the national emergency because the government didn't have no money. So the new system is a system of credit. And that's what we've been operating on ever since. And to hear these two guys talk about how, oh my gosh, you know, the financial crisis that we're dealing with right now is all because of the 2008 crash. Oh my gosh, the crash in 2008. Oh my gosh. What about the crash of the Great Depression in the 30s? The government has never gotten over their bankruptcy. We are still in a state of emergency. The statute has never been repealed. The state of emergency has never been declared over. We are still under an economic state of emergency in which the country is bankrupt and there is no money. There's no money. There's literally no money. Oh my goodness, there is no money. So there's no money. Oh, how could we be in a bad state of affairs from 08 when 1930 did us in? We're still trying to recover from the crash of the 30s. We still haven't recovered from that. And people think that it's because of the crash of 08. No, it's not. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because the reason why it's funny is because I didn't know this stuff growing up. I didn't know this. I'm just now learning about it. So because I didn't know about it, does that mean it's not real? Does that mean it doesn't exist? It don't mean it don't exist. What it means is that I was ignorant. That's it. I was ignorant. I didn't know. I didn't know. Hey, I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know everything. I like to think that I know a lot about a lot, but really I just know a little bit about a lot. I know a lot about a little bit. I know a lot about a little bit. And I know a little bit about a lot, but I don't know everything. I don't. But when I learned about this, I thought, no way. No way. Come to find out, it's true. It is true. So, what does that mean if there is no money? What does that mean? That means if someone's claiming that you owe them money, guess what? There is no money. You don't owe nothing. How can you owe something when there is no money? You notice that those Federal Reserve notes that we use, they say that this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, public and private. It's legal tender. Let me ask you, what's the difference between legal tender and lawful money? Does anybody know? Does anybody know what the difference is between legal tender and lawful money? We'll do the video about that. Because there is a difference. So the country's bankrupt. The country's bankrupt? Yeah, that's right. The country is bankrupt. The country is bankrupt. Now let me ask you a question on the lines of bankruptcy. Anybody can file bankruptcy, right? Yeah. Anybody can file bankruptcy. So, how is it that anybody can file if they're not a bank? Huh? How is it that individuals can file bankruptcy when they're not a bank? Doesn't bankruptcy apply to banks? If you're bankrupt, don't you have to have a bank in order to be bankrupt? So, if individuals can file bankruptcy, doesn't that mean that individuals qualify as a bank, to operate as a bank? Did you know that you are a bank? I'm a bank. I know I'm a bank because I done researched the law, and the law says that I'm a bank. I'm a bank. Presidential Proclamation 2039 defines me as a bank. I'm a bank. Any person engaged in the business of banking. What is the business of banking? Well, Presidential Proclamation 2039 defines the definition of banking as making deposits, receiving deposits, discounting business papers, and what else does it say? It lists a couple of other things. I receive deposits all the time. I do. I receive deposits all the time. I deposit money into my wallet on a weekly basis, sometimes multiple times a week. I discount business papers all the time. Every time I tell somebody that, hey, it's going to cost you $2,000 to do this bit of work, and they go, oh my goodness, $2,000? That's too much. I can't afford $2,000. I say, well, I tell you what, buddy, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to give you a discount. I'll do it for $1,500. $1,500? Well, that's a little better, but I don't know. It's still not quite in my budget. I can maybe swing 12. And I say, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll do it for 13. And they go, all righty, I'll tell you what, we'll do it. That's a deal. I just discounted the bid from 2013. That's a $700 discount that I just gave that old boy. And you know what? That's considered a loss. Did you all know that that's considered a loss? You better believe it's a loss. The IRS says, guess what? If you got losses, you can record them on your Schedule C. That's right. If you're an accrual method taxpayer, you can report those losses. You can report them losses now. All you gotta do is file a Schedule C. Report them losses. It's capital gains or losses. That's right. You can record a loss with the IRS. Oh my goodness. And And that's a totally different subject. Because me, myself, I got some bad debts. IRS tax topic number 453 says if you got a bad debt and you can't collect, guess what? There's a remedy for that. There's a form for that. All you got to do is fill it out. And you can get a credit. That's right, you can get a credit. Take that bad debt and turn it into a credit. You got someone that owes you money and you can't collect, turn it into a credit. A federal tax credit. That's what you do. Turn it into a credit. How do you do that? Well, ask Google, they'll tell you. Ask the IRS. They'll tell you how to do it. You know, the government gave us a corporation. Might as well use it. File as a sole proprietor. Sole proprietor. Use the accrual method of accounting. Not the cash method. Don't do that. Use the accrual method. And write it off. Write that junk off on your Schedule C. Accrual method taxpayers file the 1040 and all other associated forms that are associated with the 1040. Me personally, myself, that's what I'm doing. I didn't know about it until this year that I could do the accrual method. So I'm switching over to the accrual method. And I'm filing at least 13 different forms with the IRS this year. Because I got 2 bad debts that I'm fixing to collect on. 2 debtors that owes me over $1 million. Because I worked for these 2 debtors for most of my life. Never received compensation. Do what? How in the world are you going to work for someone your whole life and not get paid? Well, it's called working for family. That's what happens when you work for family. But guess what? There's a solution. There's a solution to the problem. IRS says if you got a bad debt and you can't collect, guess what? You get to do a 1099-C and you get to receive a credit. Oh my gosh, I get to receive a credit? Good night. I'm fixing to get me some credit. I ain't never had no credit. IRS says they ain't gonna give me some credit for my bad debts, so you know what? I'm gonna forgive them debts. I'm gonna cancel them. Give me some credit. That's right. So, you know why? Because there is no money. There is no money. The government is bankrupt. The government is bankrupt. There is no money. I'll be showing y'all. I'll pull up the law and I'll show you. Because I know. I already know. A lot of you is going to be like, oh no, blah, 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 and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And that don't mean a whole lot to me. Because I know what I know. And I've confirmed what I know through official sources. And if you don't want to believe it, you want to continue living in the Matrix, living your fantasy land of blah, 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 then you go right ahead. Because So I'll tell you what, there is no money, according to Congress, according to the system. Oh, and by the way, part of the New Deal is that the government said, because they're bankrupt, that they're going to accept the obligation of all of our necessities. Oh my gosh, all of our necessities? Oh my goodness. Yep. That they would be obligated for 90% of our necessities. Oh my gosh, 90%? Yeah, 90%. So you know what? That $70,000 car over there, or truck over there, that I got my eyeball on, because my truck is breaking down, and I'm going to need a new one real soon. But I can't afford no $70,000 truck. But it's a necessity. I got to have it to continue to earn a living. I have the right to life. I have the right to earn a living. So, because it's a necessity, they will cover 90%. Government obligation, 90%. Oh my goodness. So you mean to tell me I only got to pay $7,500 or $7,000 on a $70,000 truck? Oh my goodness. Let's do that all day long. I can afford that. I can't afford no $70,000 truck, brand new truck. The price of trucks are ridiculous. I can afford 7 Gs though. I can afford that. Yeah, let's do a 3-year note on that. Yep, let's do it. And you know what? I'm going to be taking you guys step by step through the process. I'm already figured it out. That's right. And I'm just saving up my 10%. As soon as I got my 10%, I'm going to head down there to the bank. And I'm going to apply for a loan as a bank. Because I'm a bank. And I need to apply for a loan as a bank. So the law which governs that is the Federal Reserve Act. So I'm going to go into the bank. And I'm going to make an application for a loan as a bank. And tell them that I want to follow the Federal Reserve Act as amended. As written. I'm going to follow the act as written, because I have to operate under the law. They got to operate under the law too. So because I got to operate under the law, we're going to go by the act as written, because I'm a bank and I'm making an application for a loan. I'm making an application not for a loan, but for notes, for Federal Reserve notes. Make an application for notes as a bank. The law says that any bank may make application for notes, may make an application to the local Federal Reserve agent. That's the local bank. And we'll go over this later and I'll show you exactly what it says. That way you know that I ain't bullshitting you. Any bank may make application to the local Federal Reserve agent for notes. For notes. Federal Reserve notes. The application must be accompanied by a tender of collateral security in the form of a note, draft, bill of exchange, or acceptance. What does that mean? That means to qualify for a loan, you need an application and a note, draft, or bill of exchange. Well, we all know what a note is. That's a promissory note. So in order to qualify for a loan, you need a application and a note, a promissory note, or a bill of exchange, or a draft, or a banker's acceptance, or a trade acceptance. There's nowhere in the law, in the statute at large, the act which gives provisions for running credit or being approved or anything like that. There's no approval or denial in the act. There's no credit in the act. It's an obligation of the United States. They're the ones obligated to pay the note. It's their credit that they should be going after. It's the government's credit. It's a government obligation. The government said, we're bankrupt. So this is the new system. We're going to be responsible for all debt because all property, we own it. We're claiming ownership of all the property of all the people in the United States. So, hey, guess what? If anyone shows up and asks for a loan, guess what? You need an application and a promissory note. Yeah, get that person to make up a promissory note, promise to pay. We'll guarantee 90% of it, and they only have to pay 10%. That sounds like a good deal, right? How do you think they passed it through? That's a good deal. Good night. Fast forward to almost 100 years later, and we're several generations down the line, and over the course of time they've realized that they could bamboozle us into paying the whole thing, and they would get to receive the 90% from the government at the same time. Because all they got to do, the law says, the statute at large, the act says that all they got to do is take that note and deposit it with the Treasury, and the Treasury will issue them money up to 90% of the value of the note. So you take a $100,000 loan out, you sign the note, the bank deposits it with the Treasury then in turn cuts them loose $90,000 on that note. Do they ever credit your account with that 90%? I've never been credited. But the law says that that's what is the system that they set up. So what are the banks doing? Are they committing fraud on the American people as a whole? It would appear that that would be the case. So, what do we do about this debacle? What do we do about it? Well, really, there's only one thing we can do about it. We can force them to adhere to their own law that they wrote, that they enacted. Is it too much to hold them accountable, to follow their own law? Is that really too much to do? What would it take to go into a bank and to apply for a loan under the Federal Reserve Act and tender your collateral. Look, the collateral and the security for the loan is the note. It's not the property. Property has nothing to do with it. It's the note that is the collateral and the security. It's paper gold. Because the country was in such desperation, they invented paper gold. My goodness. And all you got to do is write down some numbers on it and promise to pay. And all of a sudden, that's gold. Are you kidding me? Oh, my goodness. Paper gold that anybody can just take down to the bank. Sounds good, too good to be true, doesn't it? Yeah, that's why most people don't believe it. But it's written right there in the law. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Give me some time. I'm going to show you. And I'm going to do it. And once I'm successful, I'm going to teach y'all how to do it too. I'm going to share my successes with you guys. And I know I don't expect to be successful the first try. I don't expect to be successful. Necessarily. I understand it to the point to where I should be able to hold them accountable on the spot and get the loan. However, if I'm unsuccessful, I'm going to take it to court. If they deny me, I ain't going to make a big scene or nothing. I'm going to say, okay, I need that in writing. I need it in writing that you're denying me. I'm going to give them 15 days to reconsider and tell them my intent to sue. And then, if they don't reconsider and they don't give me the loan, I'm going to take them to court. Because I have all the evidence that I need that the law says this, and they ain't going by the law. And if they don't go by the law, guess what? They're in trouble. Because the Administrative Procedures Act says that they have to go by the law. They have to! We're dealing with commerce. Anyways. I got to take this call, so I will talk to y'all later. I hope most of this came out. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Peace. Come on now. Alright, it's still going for some reason. I'm trying to figure out they won't let me shut it down. Come on now, let me shut this down. No. I want to shut this thing down. You gonna shut me down? Are you sure you want to stop? Yeah, I'm sure I want to stop. Alright.